Men, they are really honestly looking for respect. Women want to feel treasured, known, heard, valued. My term for it is the death spiral in a relationship. She won't respect him because he's not acting respectable. If he won't treasure me, then I'm not going to respect him. And if she's not going to respect me, why would I treasure her? Why would I put her first? Why would I value her? Until she does, I won't. And she's thinking, well, until he does, I won't. And they're both waiting for the other. And as they both wait for the other to do something, and neither is seeing it coming from the other, that the relationship just keeps spiraling downward.
And how did you pull yourself out of that? Because that's a really scary place to keep going of oh my gosh, I didn't marry the right person, and now what? And now I'm stuck in this marriage, and what am I going to do?
I would venture to say that thought has crossed everyone's mind who's ever been married. It's usually in the middle of a big fight. My advice is don't indulge that thought. Mm-hmm. Get that thought out of your head as quickly as you can. You made a commitment, you made a vow, you're going to make this work. There's got to be that commitment, total commitment.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Light Talks. Allie here. Super excited to have you join us for another episode where we bring taboo topics into the light with honest vulnerability and sometimes a little humor, which I'm hoping for in today's episode. Today's topic is one of our favorites. It's marriage, but definitely not the Instagram highlight reel version. We're talking about real marriage. So miscommunication, unmet expectations, emotional disconnect, different wiring, and how to actually stay connected when life is crazy. So we are joined today by Pastor Michael Ewart. He has been on the podcast before, but today we are bringing his wife, Jenny, to join us as well. They are parents of 6 children and a whole mess of grandchildren as well, and I'm sure we'll hear about them in a little bit as well. So Pastor Michael, he has taught and counseled on marriage for a lot of years. He's led workshops on this topic, and he sat across from a lot of couples in his office as well, helping them deal with real issues like disconnection, misunderstanding, and even in crisis situations. So as we were brainstorming episodes for this podcast, Pastor Michael sent me an email and he's just like, hey, I had a presentation that I did. Would this be good for a podcast episode? And that presentation was what wives should know about their husbands. And the funny thing is, I actually was at that presentation. It was for our 922 Moms program. And the fun thing was I sat next to his wife while he presented on that. And it was her commentary that I actually found more fun. So that's why Jenny is joining us today. So whether you're dating, engaged, newly married, or just watching everyone else's relationship and wondering what's real, this episode is definitely for you. So grab your coffee, go get your tennis shoes on, put your car in drive, and let's talk about why our differences in marriages don't have to divide us and how to grow a relationship that actually works. So Jenny and Michael, welcome.
Thank you. It's awesome to be here.
That was a long intro.
We're both really nervous.
Hi, Allie.
Hello. I wasn't sure if you actually were going to show up for the podcast. The time had ticked by that we had set, and I'm like, Billy, are they going to come? Billy's behind the camera here, and he's like, I don't know. So thanks for being here.
Absolutely.
Woo.
Happy to be here.
All right. So you've been married for how long?
3 decades, Allie. 3 decades.
3/10 of a century?
Approximately 30 years.
We were trying to figure out what sounds the best. So 30 years you've been married, and like I said, 6 kids?
6 kids, yes.
And grandkids, how many?
6 going on 7. Number 7's coming next month.
Oh, that's so exciting. All right. So you've kind of been in the thick of it before.
We have.
We had somebody over at our house a few days ago with 6 children, much younger. Ooh. And it was hard for us to remember those days and that we actually did that. But
you did do it.
We did do it.
6 kids is a lot. I have 2.
We couldn't do it now, but we did do it then.
Yeah, I have 2. I'm not sure how you did 6. So I always love hearing about all of your stories. And do you still like each other after 30 years and 6 kids?
We love each other. And like
she asked if we like it. Yes, most of the time I really, really like you.
Same here.
Awesome. So
I like you, not me. I like me too, but...
These guys are really nervous, guys, so this is awesome. Tell us a little bit about your marriage journey. I know you've had a unique story in the sense of you were missionaries the first part of your marriage. So give us a really brief overview of where you've been in your marriage, because I think that helps build your story as well.
Well, we definitely had a unique start to it all. We met in Alaska, of all places.
Oh.
Anyway, once we got married, though, my first call out of seminary was to be a missionary in Russia, and right in the smack dab center of Russia, not the not the European part of it, but the middle of nowhere part of it. So, to go over there as newlyweds, we were literally married for 3 months when we went over there. And that was a unique start to the marriage.
Yeah. Yeah. And so you had 5 of your kids while you were in Russia for over 12 years.
Yep.
And then your last one you had back in the States.
Right.
Whew. All right. All right, next question. You were in Russia 3 months in, right? Was there a moment early on that made you think about each other, wow, we're really different?
I don't know. Do you have an answer for that?
I'm remembering when we first got there and we went, I was just so incredibly excited. This was the biggest adventure of my life. I was so hoping God would take him there. And so once we got there, he was, we'll say hestant. And I was so excited the first morning. I'm like, let's go shopping. Let's go meet some people. Let's go, I don't know, practice our Russian. And
she woke up early and she was ready to go. Like she wanted to get out the door. And I'm like, let's just hide in the apartment here.
yeah, so I think that was maybe one of the times.
Yeah, that became pretty
we
clear
are
then,
really
that
different.
There were some differences for sure.
Are you still like that today? Like, Jenny, are you just like, yeah, let's get going, and Michael, you just want to like hang out?
Yeah, I would say definitely.
Yeah, I have to get out of the house. So I work from home, and if I don't make a point of leaving, I will become very unhappy. So he's very good about understanding that. Like, I have to find a reason, I have to get out.
So I'm kind of out and about all week, and when the weekend comes, I don't mind sitting at home and chilling a bit. And Jenny's at home all week at work, and she wants to get out and go do things. So her idea of a great weekend is checking a whole bunch of things off a long list of things to do and staying as much time out of the house as possible. And my ideal weekend would pretty much be the opposite of that.
Has that ever caused any conflict with you two?
I think it definitely has over the years. I think we understand it now and it doesn't bother us anymore. But especially earlier on, I don't think we understood that different dynamic between the two of us. I think it especially, maybe even in vacations, we would notice something like that. I would like to keep my vacation relatively calm, and sitting by the pool is okay, and deactivating my brain because I've got a brain that's always running. And Jenny's an achiever, a go-getter. She wants to go see things and do things and accomplish things and check a whole bunch of things off the list. And the more she sees, the happier she is. And I don't know if we knew that right away when we got married. So that caused some tensions, I would say.
Sure. But you definitely learned over the course of time, for sure. Which I think is key. That's what we kind of want to talk about today is like, this is all part of a growth process. And like what you think you know going into marriage is not what you actually know 30 years or three decades later.
One of the critical things in marriage is learning your spouse, getting to know them. And you wouldn't think it's as hard as it is. And I tell couples when we do premarital counseling that you have a new full-time job. You're a full-time student for the rest of your life. You need to study that other person because you do learn new things about them your whole life long. I know Jenny so much better now than I did 5 years into marriage even. And know what makes her tick and know why she does what she does or why she says what she says or why she said it the way she said it. Even those things you just learn over a lot of years, that other person and what makes them tick.
Do you feel like some couples, they fall into the trap of not doing that? And that's, I mean, right, we all know about divorce rates these days. Do you think that contributes a lot to what we're seeing today?
I think it certainly does. You just get to know somebody better the longer you're with them. And a lot of marriages don't last long enough for that to even happen. One of the tools I really like, and I don't know if Jenny likes it as much as I do, but it's the Clifton Strengths. We did that together, and for me it was eye-opening anyway, and maybe it's just because of the way my brain is wired. But I understood some things about Jenny that I don't think I really understood before that. And it did explain why we had these fights or struggles, especially on something like a vacation. And I think we both learned to appreciate that the way the other thinks and does and acts isn't bad, it's different, and that those strengths are good, and it's something that I need. Jenny really helps balance me out, and I don't think I appreciated that nearly as much earlier on in our marriage.
Sure. You kind of have to, learn that along the way. Awesome. All right, we're going to warm you up a little bit before we dive into the meat of all of this.
Oh, boy.
So we're going off the deep end. What was your biggest fight over something totally dumb?
Just one? How many examples? Yeah, go ahead.
This one's so easy. So this is a
'Cause it's
recent one,
recent.
and that's why it's a little bit scary that it is this recent. So we had gone to see to the baptism of our newest grandchild. So it's really recent. It's within the last 6 months. And I stayed longer to spend some extra time with family, and Michael came home. And so when I came home, Michael surprised me. And I looked across the kitchen, and I saw the bananas hanging in midair. And I was like, what's going on? Like, what's going on with the bananas? He's like, look at this. And he shows me.
So I had bought a banana hook on sale, I might add. It was like $5. And it was adhesive, so it stuck to the bottom of the cabinet, and it would hang down, and then you can hook your bananas on the banana hook.
Under the cabinet.
Under the cabinet, yes.
Yeah.
And
she loved it. No, that's not quite how it went.
She didn't love it. So I said, I don't really... He showed me the features of said banana hook and said how it tucks under the counter. Look at this. It can hide when there are no bananas to hang. It's perfect. And I was like, I don't like it. And he said, well, if you decide you don't like it, we can always remove it. No problem. And I try to be really patient because I'm quick to respond with a lot of emotion. And I know that about myself. So I just kind of bit my tongue for a while. But eventually I just couldn't get over the banana hook. So probably a few days later, finally I'm like, I still don't like the banana hook. Can you just please take it down? And so we went back and forth, and this was right before bed. And
I thought you said you could just take it down.
Yeah, but that was assuming that you wouldn't want me to.
I'm sorry. I said I wouldn't attack you.
So bottom line, he wanted it to stay up. I wanted it down. And it goes a little bit further back. I had said multiple times before, if you buy something for the house, can you let me know? Let me say yes or no first or whatever. And he just assumed I would love it. And if not, it'd be okay. But I felt unheard and unseen and unloved because he didn't check with me first. And he just didn't take it down then. He wasn't hearing me. So finally.
And I felt disrespected.
Right.
That I can make a decision for our house, and this is a good decision.
Right? I'm a grown man. I can buy a banana hook, right? What's the big deal?
I can spend $5 on our house without permission. That's what I'm thinking.
Right. So it really didn't come down to, the hook. It came down to him feeling unrespected or not,
At the end of the day, the hook came down.
I was going to say, what happened to the banana hook?
It came down. There may have been some tools being thrown around in the process, but now we can talk about it.
And one of us may have cried herself to sleep that night because 30 years in, you don't think a banana hook's going to trip you up. And it does. And you're like, how did that even happen? Right? It's frustrating. It's disappointing.
But I would say those events are way fewer and far between than they were 25 years ago.
But it still happens. So I think the encouragement in all of this is even if you are 30 years in, you don't have to step back and be like, whoa, are we totally on different planets? It still happens. You're still humans. And all of a sudden you find new things that you didn't know you had opinions about, like banana hooks.
Exactly.
So I think that's great. You talked about this, though, respect and, feeling treasured and feeling seen. And so there's a difference between men and women.
Yeah.
Pastor Michael, you like to talk about this. So dive us into that a little bit more because, there is a big thing. It wasn't about a banana hook at the end of the day.
Right.
It was, but it wasn't. And so talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, this comes from Scripture, and I've seen it in real life, and I feel it myself that men, they are really honestly looking for respect in the words that are spoken, in the maybe even more so the tone that is said. The tone matters far more than I think a lot of women realize. That the man wants to feel like he is respected, that he is capable, that he is able. And when our wives make us feel that way, it really does make us sit up a little taller and stick our chest out a little bit more. When we've got a woman behind us that's helping us to feel like we are really, really awesome and we're really doing something. Maybe we're insecure, I don't know. But men love to feel respected. And it seems like a general rule that it is true that women want to feel treasured, known, heard, valued. And if we husbands can give them that really resonates with them and makes them feel safe and protected. And so I just think that's the way God designed things. We see it in Scripture, and it seems to play out in real life too.
But what if I'm going to do a what if. What if I'm the wife? And Jenny, you probably have had this too. What if I'm the wife and I don't feel like respecting you because you were a jerk? Like, that never happens, right? Like, so
Yeah.
is it just this never-ending cycle then of like, all of a sudden, I'm not going to respect you, so you're not going to see me? Like, how do you break that cycle? And what does that look like then in your marriage on how to like continue to like keep that in the back of your mind?
So it's easy to talk about. It's much harder to do it, especially in the moment. But I see it in people who come in for marriage counseling all the time. And there's another book that calls it something different, but my term for it is the death spiral in a relationship. And it's exactly what you just described, that she won't respect him because he's not acting respectable. And if he won't treasure me, then I'm not going to respect him. And he's thinking, well, if she's not going to respect me, why would I treasure her? Why would I put her first? Why would I value her? Until she does, I won't. And she's thinking, well, until he does, I won't. And they're both waiting for the other. And as they both wait for the other to do something, and neither is seeing it coming from the other, that the relationship just keeps spiraling downward. But the Bible describes something called a life spiral, and that is if she doesn't, if I just decide that I will, then that reverses the spiral. It stops the downward trend. And if she would just decide that I will respect him, even though in the moment he's not being very respectable, I am going to watch my tone, and I am going to say that differently. That just even one of the two doing it, ideally they're both thinking about that and both doing it, but it can very quickly, like remarkably quickly, change the trajectory of the relationship, and it can flip much faster than people realize with just a little bit of intentionality and forethought.
Jenny, you have anything to add to that?
I think a lot of the times I don't feel like I respect him, let's say banana hook story or anything like that. It's because I really probably am not totally understanding him. Because if I was to have taken the time to ask myself, why did he actually get this? What were his motives? And I think a phrase that really struck me a few years ago is positive intent. And it was used in the workplace, right? Have positive intent. And I went, wait a minute, that really fits everywhere. And it really fits into my marriage, right? What was he really doing? Was his intent to irritate me? No, it really wasn't. He was thinking, this is kind of handy. She might like this. And I would, let's just try it and see. His intent, and I have to stop myself and remind myself of that. Like, I've known him a very long time. He's never doing something with the intent of hurting me or frustrating me or being unloving toward me. And I have to remind myself of that. And I think even just positive intent and remembering the positive in general, right? He is huge. It always makes me think of Philippians, where God tells us whatever is true and right and noble, think about such things. Like, it's so easy to tend toward the negative, to respond toward the negative. It's just so easy for me to do that. I have to remind myself, wait, who is this man? This is the man I chose and that God gave me for the rest of my life. I love him dearly, and I know how incredibly much he loves me. This wasn't something, I'm totally misunderstanding this. I know how I feel about it, but I have to stop and think about it. Oh, that doesn't really make sense, right, to feel that way.
Right.
That's a really important point worth double-clicking on, because this happens in every relationship. There's what you expect, and then there's what actually happens. And that it's so often that those two are not the same. I expected this, but what I got was that, and there's this gap. And we get to choose what goes in the gap, and that's what Jenny was talking about. You can choose the best intent. You can choose to insert the best motives, the best story into the gap, and then ask about it and get more details about it. Maybe the good isn't the right. Maybe it turns out there were bad assumptions behind it, but assume the best and then ask questions and gain understanding, and that will diffuse a whole lot of fights, I think.
Speaking of fighting. So I think also what happens a lot in couples is there's this emotional mismatch, right? Somebody is super heightened. That's typically me in the relationship. Like, I am worked up. I am laying it all out on Jake. And he sits there and he just stares at me because he needs to process. I've learned he needs to process and like think about it. And he's just kind of like still. And I'm like, I need some energy here. I need some like responses back. So how are we supposed to manage, like, I'm up here, he's down here. Like, how can we even get to that same place? Because I don't even want to ask questions at this point because he's not answering me.
Right. I think it's intentionally trying to meet in the middle, just being aware of that in the moment. Women, as a general rule, tend to be more emotional or have a more emotional reaction. Guys we're just not hardwired to know how to deal with that very well. We're typically a little bit more even keel for the most part. And I think when Jenny is really worked up about something, my instinctive reaction is to intentionally, actually not even just be calm, but maybe even bring it down a little bit below calm, which I think probably comes across as, well, you don't care. You're not listening. Why don't you show like you're more emotion? This should affect you like it's affecting me. And it's not because I don't care. It's because I'm trying to help balance where she's at. But I think honestly that the best solution is she would need to be aware that I don't handle the heightened emotions very well. It sends me into a quiet mode or retreat mode. And at the very same time, I need to understand, I need to engage more and bring my attention up and maybe bring my own emotions up just a little bit. Because what tends to happen is I bring myself even lower to compensate for her even higher emotions, and the two can get further and further apart without that intentionality of trying to come together emotionally.
How do you come together though at that point? Like, if I'm sure that there are couples out there today that this is their cycle. One gets really heightened, one just kind of walks away and it never gets dealt with. How do you break that cycle from a practical standpoint? Like, are there steps that people can take? Is there like a conversation? Like, practically speaking, what can couples do?
Sitting here in a calm and rational moment, I think I can tell you some advice. If you had asked me if I always do it, Jenny will tell you no.
I mean, okay, we can talk about what you should do.
I'll tell you what you should do. Again, just that intentionality, I think, of if the man, talking to the husbands, if you will lean in and you will let your wife know, maybe repeat back to her, oh, yes, I hear what you're saying. What I'm hearing you say is, I can see how that would be so hard to fully understand what she's going through and let her know that you understand what she's going through. I think that's really what she's looking for oftentimes in that moment. And again, do I do that in the moment? Sometimes you go into retreat mode, or the fight or flight response starts to take hold, like you're feeling attacked, and then you start to retreat. But if I could do better at that, it would certainly result in fewer arguments.
What if you're the one with the heightened emotions?
That's honestly a little bit trickier. Emotions, whether you're a man or a woman, heightened emotions do trigger a fight or flight response, or they turn off the logic portions of the brain. So there may be a point or some wisdom in having a cooling off period. Is it a fight, or is it emotions about something outside of the marriage? It just depends on the thing. But to recognize your state of emotion and to maybe a walk is needed, maybe a cool down period, time to lower the emotions a little bit so that a rational discussion can take place about whatever the topic is.
Has that ever happened in your marriage? Do you have a story? I love stories. I love knowing that marriages are real.
Right. I'm trying to think of a specific one. I think more in general, there have been times though where we've stepped away and then we've just let it go and we've not come back to it. And those are the times that get frustrating for me. And then I'll say, okay, I really feel like we need to come back to this. When is a good time? And then trying to come back to it when you're more rational and you can both have a reasonable discussion instead of being so emotionally charged that you really aren't going to make progress. And he's kind of gone both ways. There have been times when he has just shut off. He's like, nope, and kind of had to walk away. And to his credit, I think that was because he knew that was a better option than what he may have done on rare occasion, and that would be to come up to my emotional level, and then it just gets ugly, right? That gets nowhere quick if you do that. So, yeah, if it's between the two, I'd say just stop for a minute and give yourselves some time, but come back to it, because that's sometimes we have been in the habit of stepping away and then just kind of like leaving it under the rug for a while. But I think you make more progress when you do come back to it.
Yeah, it's definitely not healthy if you don't talk about the thing too.
It eventually fades and the emotions do, and you get along again after that. But if you can circle back to it and address it directly, that's the best thing to do.
Sure. Not letting it fester. That makes sense. Yeah. I have gone completely out of order of what we talked about, but Pastor Michael, you talk a lot about, especially when you're working with couples, you talk about men like to protect and provide. Women tend to connect and nurture. Basically, God wired us completely different. So tell us more about that, because I think this explains all of the different pieces, heightened emotions versus not, like, right? Like respect versus being seen.
Yeah, God did not make men and women the same, which seems so self-evident, and yet only recently is our secular culture coming around to that and admitting that that's true. There was a time when they were trying to make men and women equal and able to do everything exactly the same, as if there were no differences between the genders, which is just silly. There is. and I'm glad that that culture is now coming back to understanding that there is a difference. God wired men to carry a load, is the way I like to put it. God made men to be more like pickup trucks. And this works better if you think of old pickup trucks. Modern ones, they ride well, whether you've got a load in them or not. But to say an late 60s, early 70s pickup truck, they were horrible on the road unless you had a half a ton of weight in the back. And then they drove like they were supposed to, because that's what they were designed to do, is to carry a load. God wired men to carry a load. And I think one of the problems in our society today is that there are a lot of young men that don't have any responsibility. They play video games and live in their parents' basement, and they're bouncing along in life because they've never had to carry a real responsibility. So what works best in a marriage is when the man does understand his God-given responsibility to carry the full load in this relationship. And I do see in marriage counseling, one of the problems is where men won't carry it, or their wives won't let them. And then it's disastrous for them. They feel, in a sense, emasculated. Like they're not doing what God intended them to do. And wives who have husbands that won't carry the load, they're not happy. If they have to take responsibility, if they have to be the mother for their husband, they are extraordinarily unhappy when that's the case. So if the man is bearing his responsibility properly, and if his wife is helping him bear that responsibility, because he has to answer to God about their marriage, about their family, and she's lifting him up with her strength. Help cannot be given from weakness. God did not make women weak at all. He gave them strengths, and when she lends her strength to him bearing his God-given responsibilities, marriages get a whole lot healthier.
I mean, you talk about those strengths. Are you talking about like the nurturing piece, the like supporting, the encouragement, the respect piece? Is that what you're talking about? Like, what does that mean?
Somewhat. So women are just better at some things as a general rule. There are exceptions in every marriage, and there are sometimes role reversals as far as who's better at what. But Jenny is so much better at carrying on a conversation, talking to people at church, getting to know them, making a true connection to them. I'm just not as good at that. She remembers things that I don't remember about people. And it was just yesterday. I don't even remember what it was because I don't remember these things. I came home and she said, "Did you ask?" Oh, yes. She asked me if I asked Billy about they're expecting.
Yeah.
And she told me that. I saw Billy.
I totally set him up.
She set me up. She tried to be a helper for me, and I blew it. I didn't bring it up to Billy.
Oh,
sorry,
man.
Billy. Congratulations, wherever you are.
Billy's behind the camera.
So yeah. But to leverage her strength and to do better at leveraging it, I would be blessed to do that. If I disregard her or I don't leverage those strengths, I'm not going to bear the responsibilities before God nearly as well, and our marriage will not be as healthy. Our family's going to fall apart, and God's going to look at me first for that. He's going to say, "Michael, what's going on here?" So it's certainly two equally important people working together in their God-given roles in marriage that makes it especially strong. Each doing what God has wired them to do in the role and responsibilities that God has given them.
Yeah. What if I find myself in a marriage that, speaking for anybody out there, like what if I'm not in that type of marriage state? What if I feel like as the wife I'm carrying that burden, or my husband's not stepping up, or the husband feels like he's carrying all of it, and like the wife is just kind of checked out and like, I'm going to go to the spa for the day and you take care of everything? Because I think we have both in our society today.
Yep.
What do you do with that then at that point? I feel like a lot of damage has been done at that point.
There has. One thing is to talk very intentionally to each other. So not the usual kids are running around, you bring something up, or sometimes we've had the habit of doing this. Like as you're putting your head on the pillow for the night, the topic is brought up. Not the best time to have a good rational conversation when you're absolutely exhausted and ready to go to sleep. But to try to find a time where these things can be intentional, I read somewhere that if for example, the wife wants to bring something up to her husband, make sure you have his full undivided attention. Guys are fairly one track. If we're sitting there watching a football game and you say something, there's a good chance we didn't hear it. So if you're going to tell us something, if I'm looking at my phone, Jenny might say something, and it's not that I don't love her, that I don't listen to her, but I'm not listening to her in that moment. My mind is on one thing, and it's not that. So just to make sure that there is attention, somebody once recommended, take your husband's cheeks, one in each hand, look him in the eyes, and say, I need your attention right now. I have something very important I need you to hear from me. Is this a good time? Are you listening? Like, it sounds so direct and unnecessary, but speaking as a guy, I think that helps. That, this is serious. I guess I better really lean in here and give this 100% of my attention. Otherwise, we miss the cues that women pick up from each other when something's really serious and they really have to pay attention. I don't think guys pick up on those cues nearly as well.
Yeah. But there's something to be said about these unsaid expectations of we want our husbands to just know what we're thinking. Has that ever happened, Jenny?
All the time.
Yeah.
And sometimes he does. Like, we've been married for 30 years, so sometimes I'm like, oh, yeah, that is exactly what I'm thinking. And sometimes it's not, and sometimes I have no idea what he's thinking. And I'll be like, what are you thinking? Like, and I'll think that in my own mind. But then I realize, I can just ask him, what made you do that or say that, or what were you thinking? Like, not accusatory, like, what were you thinking? More like, so tell me, what were you thinking, right? Here we go back to tone, right?
Tone matters.
Right. Tone matters. You want to feel respected when she asks, what in the world are you doing?
Yes, exactly. Don't make me feel like an idiot when you ask.
That's fair. Okay, so we were going back to that. You said be really intentional. Any other tips at all?
Here's the second thing, and again, it sounds simplistic, but it's a hard step that most people don't do. Seek help. Bring in an outside party. That outside party might be your pastor. It could very well just be a fellow, a Christian friend, another couple. It could be a counselor. But seek that help and seek it earlier than you think you should. What usually happens is they end up in my office a step away from divorce after years of bad habits that have led to gone way down a path that could have been changed or prevented had something been addressed way, way, way earlier. So there's nothing shameful about getting that help. We all need it. We all have our blind spots. To get somebody from the outside looking in, advising us and talking to us about what's going on is super helpful.
Good advice. Anything to add, Jenny?
No. I agree.
You agree. Awesome. So I think along these lines, along this process, hopefully I'm not the only one. I think we all question, did I marry the right person? What in the world did I do? I don't even know this person. I don't even know what they're thinking. Have you guys ever felt like that? And how did you pull yourself out of that? Because that's a really scary place to keep going of oh my gosh, I didn't marry the right person, and now what? And now I'm stuck in this marriage, and what am I going to do? So
I would venture to say that thought has crossed everyone's mind who's ever been married. It's usually in the middle of a big fight where they totally didn't get you. And is this even the right person? My advice, and maybe Jenny has other advice, but is don't indulge that thought. Get that thought out of your head as quickly as you can. You made a commitment, you made a vow, you're going to make this work. There's got to be that commitment, total commitment.
Right. I just come back to, I chose to marry this man, and there are reasons I did that, right? And are those still valid? They are. He's still the man I married. He hasn't totally changed. And maybe that's not always the scenario for other couples. But, we made a commitment, and that is, and then I try to look at the amazing blessings that our marriage has given us. And I stopped doubting. Right? In that minute you're doubting, did God give me the right spouse? Did I even make the right decision? And just reminding yourself, no, God gave me an amazing spouse, and seeing all the amazing blessings he's given me through that spouse. Kind of reframe it.
Yeah. And get out of the thought as fast as you can. So I don't actually think I've ever asked the question out loud. So now I feel better because I'm am I a terrible wife thinking, oh my gosh, did I marry the right person? Thanks for that.
And I used to think there was just one person. And Michael came into our marriage being like, well, we each could have chosen between a lot of different people. I'm like, what? Like, you are the man I was meant to marry. Like, I was very single-minded about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was helpful it took some time for me to be like, okay, maybe he's right. God could have given me a different husband. I don't know, but.
I mean, marriage is a choice at the end of the day. And so you have to your point, like, yeah, did I marry the right person? Maybe not, but you still married them, and you still made it.
And now they are the right person.
And now they are the right person.
You decided.
Yep.
And you have to choose that. So have there been moments in your marriage where you've had to choose to love one another even when you didn't really want to?
Absolutely. Now, there are times when the feelings come and go. There are times when you're really mad at your spouse. But when you just decide, well, we're not getting a divorce, so I guess we can either be miserable together or we can choose to be happy together. And that sounds overly simplistic, but it works way better than you think. Well, I'm going to choose happiness. I'm going to work at this. I guess I better say I'm sorry. I guess we better take some steps. I guess we better work harder. And again, it can turn around way faster than you think. And when you take those steps, the feelings follow. So if you just decide, well, nope, I'm going to do something kind, it changes your heart. Would you agree?
Absolutely. So there was a point, and I can't remember what kind of crazy I was at that time, but we decided I had an alter ego, and I can't remember what I nicknamed my negative version of Jenny, Janice, I think, or something like that.
I think it was Janice.
Yeah, I mean, Janice hasn't come around as much lately, but there's a lot of crazy sometimes, and you have to, okay, maybe I'm being just a little bit crazy. And maybe the fact that you are more even keel and you're my rock and you're my stability has been a huge part of you helping me through my crazy, right? I don't know if it's hormones. I don't know if it's, stage of life. And through different stages, there will be maybe different versions of my crazy. But he's always just, recognized, okay, she's being kind of crazy right now. And that just happens, right? And patience is probably one of his biggest virtues, for sure.
I remember one time, and I don't know if you even remember this, but there was a fight, and we both went to bed mad. And this is what really,
you shouldn't do that.
I know. Yeah,
I know.
You shouldn't.
We've broken all the we've done all the shouldn't do's.
It is horrible when you do. I don't recommend it. So
No.
it turns out God's right. So do what God says, not what we've done.
Fine.
But went to bed mad, and it always annoys me. She can sleep no matter what. So it takes her 8 minutes to fall asleep when we're mad instead of 2 minutes, and it takes me like all night. I don't sleep then. So we went to bed mad. I don't know what the fight was even, but as usual, facing opposite sides of the bed, right at the edge of as far away as we could be from each other. And our usual operation was, that's just what's going to go. That's all right, we're done. And that was the night. I don't know why this one night I decided, I'm going to do something different because I don't want to do this. And I rolled over and I just put my arm around her. I put my arm around her.
Oh, you cuddled.
I did. Even full disclosure, I did not feel it at all. It was the last thing I wanted to do in that moment. I don't know if I've even told you this. I don't think I have. But I did it anyway, and I felt her tension melt. And in a minute, she turned toward me, and soon the fight, I don't supposed to say I've forgotten. We were able to talk. I don't know if we talked about it later or not, but it was in the moment that the anger, the tension was just melted away by making an intentional act. And that's what I mean. Sometimes even if you don't feel it, you choose love and you choose to love the other person, and that can change things.
Do you remember that, Jenny?
I think so. Vaguely. I don't think we talked about it, but I remember.
No, not in the moment. We didn't.
Right, because we hadn't done that before. If that had happened, I would go to sleep, and that was that. I remember kind of thinking, okay, yeah, that's okay. Like the first being like, I don't know. Okay, yeah, it's fine. I still really love him.
Did it release your tension a little bit just by that of like, okay, we might be mad, but we're good?
Right. Absolutely. Just that reminder. It was him, without saying the words, saying, I still love you. Like, this is not, right? This is not a deal breaker. This is not that big a deal. It's okay.
Yeah. So good. Kind of on that thread, how do you stay connected, right? We had Janice or whoever that was, like for a point in your life, like all of the crazy, you had 6 kids, you moved across the entire world. How do you stay connected in the middle of all the different seasons? Because you've had a lot in 30 years.
I love the phrase intentional intimacy, and I just recently heard it. And we have never, full disclosure, we have never done weekly date nights. We've never done monthly date nights. We've never been good at date nights ever. And I could blame it on, we lived in Russia for 12 years and there was no way to do that.
There was
right?
no way and nowhere.
Right.
You couldn't date in Russia? That's so sad.
We had nobody to watch the kids. We had, all those kids. And, there was no place to go. Like, what do you do there? There was one restaurant in a town of 65,000 people,
Right.
which was not operating half the time. So,
Right. And when we were with the friends, our American friends who were trusted to watch our kids, we were spending time with them, right? We weren't going to give up that time to have time alone. So we've never been in a great habit of doing that. So I think our version of intentional intimacy has always been, we always come back together. We always sleep together. We tend to go to bed. We almost always go to bed at the same time. We always have. We'll get up at about the same time. We know that at the end of the day, before the end of the day, we'll connect to. More recently, I think that's looked like me trying to intentionally ask, so what's your day gonna look like? And then at the end of the day, how did that go? Things like that, where communication for us has always been a struggle. It's not Michael's favorite thing to do.
in Clifton Strengths is my number 34 out of 34.
Ooh.
Which when we unlocked them all and I told Jenny what the 34 was, she just started laughing hysterically because she already knew. We didn't need an assessment to tell us that.
Yeah, and it took time to get used to that and then to just be fair about that. Okay, that is the way God wired you. And there are times when Michael will say, okay, so just ask me. And I'm like, well, why do I have to ask you to get you to talk to me? You should just want to talk to me and just tell me stuff all the time. And then I realized, okay, just ask him and he will, talk to you. Just specifically get him talking. And it seems like a lot more work. And then I realized, no, that's just the way it is, right? It's not he's hiding things or doesn't want to talk. It's just like he's not going to naturally do that unless prompted to do so and not take it personally. I tend to take things very personally, very quickly and have to, step back a minute.
And then Janice comes out.
And Janice comes
right?
out.
Yeah, it gets a little ugly really fast.
So what I'm actually hearing you say is this is probably the first podcast people will hear where you're not saying weekly date nights, do the weekly date nights. Like basically you're saying find what works in your life and your schedule, even if that is, it's not flashy. It's not always like this big thing. It's just what works to intentionally connect with one another.
Right. And it can look a lot of different ways for a lot of different people. And I know the previous podcasts they've talked about doing it in your home with your kids around, going for a short walk. There's so many other ways to do that. So and I'm not discouraging weekly date nights. If you can make that happen, if that's a possibility for you, go ahead and do it. But if you can't, don't live in regret saying, wow, our marriage is doomed to fail. We're not getting this right. That isn't the only right way. It's a great way to do it, but find other ways then to be intentionally intimate because your marriage can still be a great marriage.
Even if you're not dating every week.
Right. Even if you can't make it look the way you wish you could, right? Yeah. That's just not your life. That's not the way God designed it, and that's okay.
I love that. You talked a lot about communicating. So speaking to all the listeners out there, when it comes to communicating, especially in your marriage, what's one thing that most couples get wrong?
I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on that?
You don't want to answer? You have nothing to say about it?
No,
about communicating?
I don't know what to say about communicating.
Okay, fair enough. I don't know about most couples as much as us. Like, I would say for the most part, be on the same page. And communicating isn't always words, right? It's in a lot of times you're communicating something in the things that you do and the way that you act and the way that you live your life. So I think communication can be understood in a much broader sense too. Like, is he showing me in everything that he does how much he loves me? Absolutely, right? And I have to see the way that he's communicating his love to me isn't necessarily in words because that might not be the way he communicates. But, and I've always known there's nothing I've always known, bottom line, I always remind myself, this man would do anything for me and our family, right? That's how deep his love is. And to try and always have that self-sacrificial love like Jesus, that's so hard to do because I feel like it's a lot of times a power struggle. Like, I don't want to admit it, but I actually just really want my way and you want your way, but they're not the same way. So either one or the other, we have to find a middle ground. But
that's at the root of every fight, by the way.
Right.
It's that simple. We're fighting because I want what I want and you want what you want, and they're not the same thing.
Right.
Yeah. So you got to talk about it and compromise sometimes. But yeah.
and seek to understand. Communicating can also be, okay, I want to understand who you are and I want to understand why you did that. Like, example, when our third child was born and we had to stay for 5 days at the hospital. She was amazing, but in Russia, you stay for a week. So if we got out in 5 days, that was amazing. We were super happy about that.
I can't imagine.
And
as
when
a mom, my goodness.
Right. And when we find out when we're finally going to go home, Michael was like, oh, he's like, I have a meeting and it's a really important meeting. All the missionaries are going to be in town and I have to be there. And I'm like, well, we have to get home, And he's like, well, how about if I just send the driver? I'll send Sergey for you.
You had a driver?
We did because we didn't all have cars.
Got it.
At first, we shared a car. And then...
And Russian cars broke down a whole lot, so we needed somebody to be repairing them all the time.
Right. And then after that, when we did get cars, there was always a problem with one of the cars. So he said, I'll just send the mechanic driver guy. And I was like, don't bother. Don't bother. We'll walk home. It's like, I don't know, a 5-hour walk. We'll walk. I'll hitchhike. I'll call a cab. Don't bother driving or sending Sergey. And that to me was just such a... I was like, what? Why would he say that? Right? And to me, it hurt because he wasn't putting us first, right?
Sure.
We're your family. We're really important. And he was trying to be responsible. He was trying to be like problem solving. I'm trying to figure out the best way to,
get you home.
Right. Get you home and get me to my meeting because it's an important meeting and I don't want to, try to
That's our
reschedule
third
this.
child, in my defense.
And right,
I hope your daughter hears this.
I'm joking. I got the message and I didn't pick them up.
So did you miss the meeting?
I must have, but I honestly don't remember the meeting itself. But yeah, but it didn't take much for me to come around and realize I was being stupid.
Did she have to tell you were being stupid, or did you?
She was saying it about like you were just hearing now. So
no, that's basically what I said. Like, don't bother sending him, and maybe don't come home because that answer is not acceptable, right? And I can be harsh, so I'm sorry about that. Yeah,
Janice came out, but that's all right.
Yeah, and communicating, right? I can do a better job at communicating. Communicating isn't about saying a lot of words, right? Maybe it's about getting your point across effectively, and I wasn't doing that very well, right? And that was because the emotion was so high. But there would probably have been a much better way to say, sweetheart, I really love you, but I think it's really important to me that you pick us up and bring us home because it's a really big deal to me, even if it isn't, sometimes such a big deal. If it is to you, then say it. Say, it's important to me.
Why is it so hard for us to say just our needs out loud? Like, why is it so hard to be like, well, what are you thinking? Or I really need this from you today. Or I'm not, why is it so hard?
I think it's just assumptions and different wiring of brain. So, for Jenny, it was completely self-evident that I should have known. And in hindsight, yep, I should have. In the moment, it didn't seem obvious to me. And even if she had said it in a much more gentle way at that moment, I think I would have got it. But I should have known, and that was offensive to her, which brought out the emotions. And I've done the same. That what she did or said didn't meet my expectations, and then I got mad because it wasn't what I expected either. So just to assume the best again and ask questions, try to understand each other, try to do that in a calm way, that really goes a long ways.
All right, we're going to land the plane here a little bit. If you could talk to your 25-year-old selves, or you're talking to 25-year-olds out there, whoever's married in their first, the first 7 years of the hardest? Is that what I hear?
Yeah. I think every year they just get sequentially easier. I think our best year of marriage was our 30th, and the second I think was the 29th was the second best, and 28th was the third best, and
so
I think they gradually
hardest.
get better.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the first year is the hardest, and the first 5, first 7. I would even say if you're 10 years in and you're thinking, shouldn't we have had this figured out by now? It's okay. There's still things you're learning.
Yeah.
If you're still not seeing eye to eye, you're still fighting. That's typical. That's normal.
Yeah.
And
or if you're 30
keep working
years
on
in.
it. Keep working on it.
Yeah.
Or 30 years in. Yeah.
Right. It's never going to be perfect, right? It's never, even after 50 years. Yeah. And you think it should at some point. You're like, we should really be further along than we are, and you're not. This is making me think of just another example recently, and then I was like, oh, that was hard. But why was it so hard? He had a call. That means he was asked if he wanted to serve in Indonesia. No, where was
Thailand?
it? Yeah, in Thailand. And it was right before my 50th birthday, and we were taking a cruise with my twin sister and my family. And I said, could you please make this decision before my birthday cruise? And he's like, I don't know if I can. And he wasn't able to, right?
Big decision.
Right. And he wasn't able to, right? So we went on this trip and we get on the first plane and there are 3 seats across. And he's like, sweet, we have extra room. So he sits by the window and I'm like, oh, this is a perfect time for us to get on the same page and talk. And he puts his bag in the middle seat or his backpack. And I was like, oh, okay. And I took that as a hint. I don't want you to sit in that middle seat. And I took it very personally because I was like, this is a great opportunity for us to try and get on the same page. And his was like, we got space. I'm going to try
Stretch out.
Right, relax.
I want to talk to you today.
Just
You
kind
can
of
talk across the seat.
right? Where I didn't ask him. I didn't say, are you trying to say you don't want to sit by me? And I think I might have said something and you're like, that is not really what I meant. And I think you moved the backpack right away. But just say what you're thinking sometimes instead of getting caught up in it and overthinking it or assuming something, right?
Don't make assumptions, just say it.
Yeah.
Ask.
And that was year 29. So year 29 was not perfect, but that's okay.
Yeah. Any other advice you'd give to young married couples?
Be patient with each other, talk to each other, don't make assumptions, know your spouse, study your spouse. It's going to take decades to learn them fully, but keep working at it. Do something like Clifton Strengths, do these assessments. It's worth the investment. It's worth the intentional work.
I want to end on, yes, marriage is hard, but it's also really beautiful. And so talk about the beauty of marriage a little bit, because I think we can get caught up in it of like, why are we doing this? Like, why did God give this to us? He said it was this beautiful thing, and all of it, it just feels hard. It takes up my time. It takes up my energy, all of my emotions.
Yep.
So like, how can we encourage listeners today of like, keep doing the hard things because it's worth it?
Do you want to start or should I?
I can. So when I think about our marriage, I see and even in life in general, God has blessed us in so many ways, but through our marriage, it's just incredible to think about not just the kids and the blessings that they have been to our lives, but that at the end of the day, there's the one person who would do anything for me, right? Who loves me unconditionally, no matter how much crazy I brought that day, and is going to stay beside me. And he's going to hold my hand till the end, whatever that looks like. And he's going to love me through it. And he's going to love me through the really hard times that I have and the hard times that our marriage has, kind of like God, right? He's going to love me through it. That unconditional love I see so clearly, and my husband reflects that in our marriage. And that's such a tangible way to see the kind of love that you can't really understand on this side of heaven, maybe.
Mm-hmm. It's beautiful.
The blessings are real. The blessings are worth it. I always know, no matter how hard my day was at church or with counseling, or if somebody was mad at me for whatever reason, I know I've got somebody I'm coming home to that has promised to be with me and for me, and that will be by my side no matter what. She's promised to, and she's always been there, and that companionship will be there, and I can unpack it with her, and I know she'll be there. The intimacy of marriage is just awesome. To be that close with somebody else in this world, it's a really amazing blessing. The blessing of children, they're hard. Man, are they hard?
Tell me.
But at the end of the day, it's so worth it. It's so fun. It's so good. And if you can make it to grandchildren, highly recommend that. That's where it's really at.
All right. Well, we'll check in with you in a year, because maybe you'll have, 5 more. Sorry.
Yeah, you
Sorry,
never know.
You were kids. Sorry out there.
Exactly.
Awesome. All right. Well, hey, thank you both for joining us on Light Talks. I love your stories all the time. I think your wisdom was spot on and hopefully can help individuals listening to this podcast. So if you're out there, you like this episode, share it with your friends, comment, like it, subscribe to Light Talks, and we will be back for another episode soon. Thanks for joining us.